Duff, your host.
And I'm producer Barbie.
And together,
we bring you our podcast,
Insights and Straight Talk. And with that, producer Barbie and I are out. Hey, you. How you guys doing? I'm going to start doing these on a regular basis, meaning the coffee and tea time. By the way, I've been trying a couple of different things here, and that old stool thing has gone comfortably to the side. Got to wash my glasses here pretty soon. But I wanted to come in and chat because, well, first, little personal stuff out of the way here. Am I doing the right one? Guess it doesn't matter. So, producer Barbie, you've been harassing me for a little bit. I'm going to take this off. Nobody can hear me anyway. So, here. Yes, I'm growing the hair back. As you can tell, sucks though. I got a gray spot right here, and she asked me why do I put my hat on when when it's still growing back, and when you're bald, because I have such a big forehead. Look at that fucker. I have a big forehead, and then when it's bald, I mean, I like the shape of my skull, but you'll see it soon enough. Barbie is not letting this go. She wants me to do the bald thing. And with summer coming up, I usually do it once or twice a year. And with summer coming up, I'm, as you can tell, I'm in the pool a lot. I do a lot of laps, exercise and Peloton. I do a lot of Peloton because, as you know, just what was it, Memorial Day, a weekish or so ago, celebrated my 3-year anniversary from the motorcycle accident. I spent 3 months in, I almost said prison. Felt like that. I was miserable. But, building everything up, there's a famous movie that I really like. I'm going to do these lights. It's still going to work on. There's a famous movie. Is it Samuel Jackson? I forget who it is, but that plays God. And he's having this discussion with this waitress at a diner. And he says, it's part of it. But the point is, when you ask for patience, God doesn't give you patience. He gives you reasons and things that cause you to be patient. So then almost exactly a year later, I had a stroke. and then, the whole mental 1 year ago, wow, that's 3 years. I must have broken a mirror or something. But this has been such a blessing for me. So I came on to just chat, folks. If you got your coffee, come on, let's do this thing. I appreciate people coming on. It's looking really good. As you can tell, I'm kind of situated a little differently today. The stool's gone, as I said, and now I've got a little bit of back support. Okay, I can't lean too far back because then I smack the curtain. Aesthetics, man, still working on this thing. As you guys know, the world is becoming so exciting and interesting for everybody. That's why we're here doing this, because you are the backbone of the economy, the push, the energy of this nation. The great middle class is also the great forgotten class. And starting to work on my book again. Well, I say that. All I have to do is fill in my marketing thing, and I just am not getting to it because I'm so far behind with all you troublemakers out there making the show become everything I've ever dreamed of, to be honest. But I still, and maybe there's a reason we're not yet at 100,000 subscribers because we've got to grow into that, and that's it's been a really exciting journey so far. I mean, our first live show was make sure I can see that. I did that just in time. I can see and we're going to talk a lot about AI because that's kind of what this coffee and tea time is turning into, and I get it. As you know, we do subjects across the needs and the desires and the empowerment and the concerns of the great middle class. Cody, thank you for this question. So yeah, we do that, and AI is really starting to be a higher margin of occupancy within our talk. So the class is moving ahead. I don't only because I'm doing so many other things. I don't see a release of that of the classroom. I'm supplementing the community here, but as you all know, when we develop that community, and by the way, yesterday we had a really interesting talk, that fashion design lady in New York, and that conversation was so very interesting and evolving. A lot of people came on and stayed on and commented back the energy there. She's so drawing in energy. So after the show, I kick them back into the green room, and God, I really kind of like this. I hope this is coming across looking as good as it feels. I should probably come down a little bit more here. Details. I'm going to be moving this all around though too. So you're going to see a couple different looks coming up, and so let's start diving into AI here, which is terrific. This is really my chance to be a little more goofy than normal, taking my hat off and just, you're my family, right? We're a community, we're a family. And it's really exciting how this is coming along. Our first show, as you know, was Constitution Day last year, September 17th. And producer Barbie and I were choosing between Grandparents' Day, which is the Sunday earlier, or the Sunday earlier, or Constitution Day 1 week later on the Monday. So we went with Constitution Day, and it makes sense. That's why we did it. So here we are. Love this series. What's the biggest AI insight from today? We talk about this a lot, right? Hold on, before I get to your question, your comment and question, I want to go back to Anna yesterday. She and I were talking about how afterwards, she made several comments and commented on, I don't have a book to sell. I don't have anything. Here's what I do, but we're here. We're in a position, she's 74 years old. We're in a position now today, in as we move on, what the older generation has always wanted, which is to pass on to the next generation. We're in an interesting spot here because the next generation is going to be passing up as much as we do on in things evolving AI. So we were talking about these communities and how the whole world is kind of evolving. You used to only be able to read the newspaper, right? Newspaper before TV time, then the radio, then the TV, and for the last God knows how long, network TV is the only thing that really grabbed people's attention enough to be able to get updates on what's going on in their world and the government. That then caused a great power as newspapers and the other. I am now distributing the facts that are affecting your life, and you come on and watch me every day. That's a position to be in when there's 4 other places that do that, and they have their different news headlines. Now it's always the same thing. Literally, every headline simultaneously goes across the CBS, NBC. Is ABC? Yeah, ABC still around, right? But what's cool now is so many people are understanding what the great middle class goes through and sharing this information. Her and I talked about this classroom concept, and we're going to collaborate on a few other things as well. I did not know this while we're talking, but she owns a publishing company in New York. She's an entrepreneur. That's for damn sure. But it was a great, exciting show. And so when we come into things, let's talk about today's insight on AI. You notice this table's a little higher. It's not any higher. It's the seat I used isn't quite the same height as we originally adjusted the table. So it's going to probably look a little like I'm a little kid. No, that probably matches. At the end of the day, I started to bring this point across, and meaning it used to be that things evolved. What's coming up in the next 10 years? And you could see, the horses giving away, the horse and buggies giving away to the original cars, and then on from there, and then the airplanes, and now the space. Well, for a long time, space shuttles, but now it's private. I mean, things evolve, and then they have always been more or less trackable. With AI, it's a whole new world, right? With AI, you're looking at. I wouldn't go daily yet because we just don't know enough. Although my Relevance AI, I've been touting a lot about that. Really love that because they have assistants that they develop that have specific system instructions. If you remember what we talk about, system instructions. Excuse me, I've been talking a lot for the last few days. And swimming a lot. Love the warmer weather. California, I'm going to be coming, I swear to God. California, Texas, man, I'm coming. I don't know if I can stay in California enough. Nuisance trying to burn that whole thing down. So the Relevance AI sent me an announcement today. And what's really cool is now people are starting to ask us. I said this the other day, and it's great because I either need to do a lot more things where like people are asking us to evaluate these products, like I said, like mini influencer kind of things. And so that is starting to develop another stream of income. Well, it hasn't yet, but as soon as we start, you may see some more information about that. So otherwise, I was going to beg you guys for start up a GoFundMe. We are very excited about the fast-paced growth and just trying to keep up with that and how we support that. So that kind of hinders a little bit, not being as aesthetically pleasing as the messages that our expert guests are bringing in. It's been a very rewarding time, and it's also because if you see on social media when they come in, myself and a couple other people on the team do some edits called shorts and send that information out across X, Instagram, um, LinkedIn, and TikTok. I think there's one. We used to do Pinterest, but that's. I don't think that's our vibe. It looks cool, but I don't. And I think a lot of people have agreed. So, Relevance AI sent this announcement that is about some new assistants that have been developed, and they're laying out. And so the library of assist. Now remember, I have one that's called Mako, the make.com operator or fixer. And so that's the original thing. That I'll say they're they look like, what's that thing that I never got why it's so popular. You know, it looks like the old graphics are from the old days. God, I can't remember the name of it, but it's huge. The graphics of these are purposely done the same way. And they have specific instructions to, fix a connection, write this, or find the top 5 blah, blah, blahs surrounding me and give me all the information of why I would want to go there. Or, on and on and on and on and on. I'm gonna not waste your time talking about each thing because there's probably 10,000 of them. And obviously you're not going to want to use all of them, but they're specific to things. They're specific to pottery plant, the flower shop around in the neighborhood corner. They're directed towards the local church and their outreach programs, which, by the way, the other day I was this going back a couple of weeks now because it's been on my phone. I purposely took a picture because I was driving here in Oswego down 34, just the main. Oswego's, what are we, like 35,000 people now, surrounded by 500,000 in the 2 other towns, Aurora and Naperville. And then, of course, you got Chicago and all that stuff. And way, way more. But in my little territory, land I roam, basically, we've got about 30,000 people. And I think, I honestly have no idea, but it's small. And then I was heading down there. I was going to the bank or do something. And I saw this van come around. And you know how, you ever seen those wraparounds that it's really cool where a graphic's done and it looks like the paint job on the vehicle? This was a Kendall County Veterans Affairs outreach, a governmental, and in Illinois, I didn't know this, every county is required in the Constitution to provide these exact, it's .gov, these exact things. And I never knew those things existed. And, we do a lot of mental health. We do a lot of veterans needs because it's about all of the great middle class and all of their needs. And we all have all these needs. And now we're able to pull together information and details and be productive in this community. All right, I gotta get onto some of these messages. So AI and relevance isn't the only thing doing stuff, laying things out, obviously, because all of them, ChatGPT, Gemini, that's Google's version. We talk a lot about comparing Google with the new ChatGPT. Well, I think they had to buck up. I think Gemini, was also originally Tesla um, Tesla dude's creation. He did Chat GPT because he wanted an open forum for everybody because it's critical. This, what we're talking about here, this AI is critical. I don't know if it's my glasses. I hope I'm not as blurry as I think I am. I didn't turn off the auto. Oh, wait, let me see. Yeah, no, maybe it's good. My eyes have been just terrible lately. But going on to the next, Cody, thank you very much for your question. And if there's more color you want laid in between those layers of an answer, I'll hit me back up. I'm here, man. I'm here as long as you guys are today. It's open chat. What's that guy? He passed away a little bit. A very conservative talk show host. He used to say it's open mic Friday, right? And you could just bring up any comment, question, concern you wanted. That's all politics. That's not us. I mean, we're politics where it involves the embetterment of the great American middle class, not the embetterment of the political party or any one person. Well, if that person deserves it, then definitely one person, but not any. No more laziness in politics. We can't afford it. That's the bottom freaking line, man. So moving on, let's see. I'm sure all these are going to be about AI. Learning so much from Daniel, so much. I have no idea why I said all that. Daniel, thank you so much for making that comment. That's important. That's what we're here. That's our mission. I tell the story going through hell for 3 years. Because I was always my whole life fighting against God's mission for me, which is this. There is something happening that we need to come together on. Come together right now over me. So remember Beatles, right? Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. That's very cool of you. One of my favorites. Someday you're going to tell me how to pronounce your name. Grateful for the value. Thank you. Keep delivering. I ain't stopping. Whether I have to do this from some empty field underneath of a overpass or not, this is happening. And I joke a lot about that because this became what it needed to become at the time that it did become this. Ooh, I hope I made that a full circle there. So a couple of years ago, started winding down the business, which was my pain, my hurt, my efforts, my devastation. I think you get the idea from some very interesting adjectives there. This became full time. Was it the first of this year as I canceled? I think it's been like 2 months now. I've said it earlier on. I canceled my last, machine contract, and had been winding everything down, and it all going away into the wisp of the wind, and we did that. Producer Barbie, we've been together for like December 07, so almost 20 years. So she's the financial genius. She didn't allow me to touch anything over there unless she tells me what she wants to spend and or what I'm allowed to spend. But I keep my hands off that. My job now, my only job now, is you. This community, our family. That's my job. She just wants me to talk all the time, and I get that, and I like that. So we went through those numbers, and from one point to the other, 6 months ago, basically, we had wound down and just the remaining residual revenue was coming in. I got to get used to sitting in this chair. Let me know, is this thing bothering or irritating, or is this a cool gig? Because, I used to always sit like this, which is cool. And actually I should, because it's good for your posture and it actually builds up the muscles. Take that for what it's worth. But as we get to that 6-month time, it's yesterday. Our guest talked about putting something out there, making a commitment, and that's how you drive forward. And I could not agree more. And that's what I've always done is, okay, I'm doing this, and that's a driver to make day in and day out efforts to make that happen. I've learned, I've been in sales for all my life. I've learned that, the end of the month is when you're short of your numbers. It's funny how you can learn things that you never think about or thought that you could do. So here we are. We're going to make this thing happen. I swear. Come hell or high water. We got a lot of questions. No, it's not too bad. Okay. Let's move on here. What's the number one AI tool that you're talking about today? Oh, can I stay on the relevance AI? I just love that. Canva is really good. Calendarly, that ties everything together. Airtable, I'm really excited about using that. In this automation, I'm working on other parts of it, where at the end, Airtable is registering some things. I think that's going to be a really, really fun AI tool. Reason I say that is because we talked about me being forced to stay away from the money. Part of that is because I've heard this term where creatives. I'm more of a creative person, and that does not bode well on the organizational side. Maybe there's both. I'm not one. That's for sure. I hate organizing. So all my sales career, I leaned into, built, delivered, run my life through CRMs, for customer databases and calendaring all tied together. So it's just click, click, click. And then I don't have to organize it. It's there. Now, all we're doing now is taking it to that next level, to so many different things capable of doing, reminders automatically. How many times have you gone to a meeting or here at the show? So I started getting that into here. Even here in the show, it's on the machinery business. I can tell you times of driving 3 hours to go to a scheduled appointment for a very good, that's my income, right? I got to be there and work with that customer to satisfy the needs or the pain points that they have. And then you get there and, oh, fuck, I forgot about the meeting, after they called and looking for him and he's at the doctor's appointment or something, and he's not going to be back for the rest of the day, or on and on and on. Somebody got called out in an emergency. You're 20 minutes away from it and you get a text. Hey, Rod, dude, I'm sorry. I hope you haven't gotten too far. This just happened. And, things happen. But there's a lot of I forgot kind of stuff. Well, when you send automatic text reminders and emails, not to be obnoxious, just to say, ding, remember in a half hour, you have this meeting now coming, or whatever it's set for. That's so. What is my favorite? There's so many to go from. Relevance, I want to are excited. Similar questions there, so I apologize to Branson. Hey, Branson, you're my man. How you do, bro? So I'm excited about just the whole journey here, because let's face it, I'm a year. Yeah, am I? No, I'm not even a year into this yet. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I am a year into this now. I tell the story is when my granddaughter was being born, I was I was I was with my family, my eldest son down in Texas, and obviously hung out for few days, a couple days before, tried to help and mostly just stay out of the way because young couples, you know exactly what happens right around that time. And so we were there, and one day during breakfast, um, he and I just chatting all the time. We do this and that, smart kid. Love chatting with him. He's and we have a lot in common. He has a podcast called G Money, and talks about different revenue streams. But we were chatting, and this was either it must have been 2 days before my little girl was born, and he made some coffee. He's got this really cool coffee thing going on, and he air heats. Instead of an oven, you're using air, not a deep fryer. You're using air, obviously healthy. And my God, so good. So we were going over that, and then he asked me a question. I said, "What? What do you mean?" And then he said, "This on my phone." And I'm like, I could not come up with any kind of answer because I didn't know what he was talking about specifically. So I'm, curious people. He's probably at least as curious as I am. And as we're chatting, we got into this conversation. And one of the reasons, and if somebody's going to say it today, because it's a great question, where do you start? If you're new to this new world, where does it all begin? What is the first step in a journey of 1,000 miles? And he said, ChatGPT. I go, what's that? And so he said, check this out. What do you want to know? And I don't know, pulled out something random. And that went in, gave me the exact answer, as deep as I wanted it to go. And all I did is ask it a question. And you'll notice when you go to ChatGPT, OpenAI, it's got this really cool old school kind of looking insignia. It's like black squirrely hairs, and then on a whitish canvas, circle. And so when you go on there, and again, I've gone to other levels with it because it also does a lot of automation, which it'll do there. But it also does rendering of things that there's not enough. What do you get? Tokens. I think you get like 1,000 tokens a month, which is a lot if you just. That's fine for what you want to do. If you go nutty, it'll say, sorry, you're out of. And technically, I guess you could go to close that down, go to the other, and open up maybe a different browser. I don't know how sophisticated, but you could probably do that over and over again and just never pay a dime for the most amazing information data you could ever hope for at the sound of a voice or the click of a button. All right, so that's what I'm excited about. I'm always excited about that. But back to earlier, we used to always think in decades or years or even months for what's coming next. How's that next evolution of that happening? Even longer than that, let's say. Today, AI, automation, crypto, on and on and on, all these connected things that is driving the world ahead. Knowing what's going to happen today is about as current as you can know what's going to happen tomorrow. Technically, obviously, that's a little exaggerated, but at the end of the day, it's not a year till the whole world is already changed. It could be literally months, and then more and more and more and more and more beyond that. That's the state we're in. We're at a place now where it's not like momentum building as the big boulders going down the hill, it starts picking up momentum. That's kind of what's happening. We're still where it's just kind of just getting started. And if we grow in front of that, I used to always talk to the people here at the company, and I'd say, what we need to do is be in front of the ball. If you're behind the ball, you're behind the ball, right? I mean, it's a simple picture. You just got to stay in front of the ball. And the ball right now is slow enough. Believe it or not, I think that's the first time I've ever said the word slow when comparing that with AI, automation, all that stuff. But it's slow enough right now for us who don't know, who haven't grown up with it, to be able to catch up. You can learn German over amount of time, but if you've got to go to Germany for an all Germany conversation tomorrow, and you don't know anything about the German language, I always use Germany, but even better, Chinese, because that's a dialect completely separate, right? So if you've got that conversation, that's what you don't want to have with AI. Right now, you've got time to learn it. So I started, like I said, at breakfast with my son on his phone. He does basically everything except for stream on his phone, and that's how things are going. Remember, in our lifetime, there was a phone 10 years ago, one of the first kind of phones that had, and they compared the memory and the capacity of that phone. And we're talking, I say 10 years ago. It's probably 20 years ago, 15 at least. And the comparison was, and it blows your mind when you hear it. The first space shuttle that went up, that landed on the moon, had less memory, less capability, less, computer power in it than one of the first flip phones. Not flip phones, the first beyond the flip phone, where phones became smart, iOS and those platforms. That was twice as powerful. I mean, imagine now, our phones now, they're amazing. So I'm just kind of rambling on here, folks. Sorry. Yeah, good. Okay. So Barbie was getting upset at me because I kept going into personal stories, because I treat this as like a fireside chat. I'm just chatting with my family and stuff. And you know how I like to roll around conversations, but she's right. I mean, Chris Hanna, you're asking me a question and I'm taking forever to get to it. So in honor of that, in honor of you, and in respect of trying to make it up, Chris, what's the easiest way to join this kind of AI learning community? Well, Chris, that's a great question. Thank you. Well, you're already here. This is one. We stream out every day and across the world. We get it's growing like crazy, but I think we're at about 16,000 views per every 28 days. It's one of the analytics, and breaks it down to how many words. By the way, men in this audience are growing at a much greater pace than women. It used to be like 60-40-ish. I get that. It's all the way down to like 19 or 29 to the rest being male, like 80% almost. And that's been tracking pretty quickly. Now, I mean, we only have a couple hundred episodes, but over that last, I'm calling it 10, there must be some dramatic shifts on who our audience is manufactured, built of, besides being needing information and supporting the need of the great middle class to come together. Quit being isolated, quit being boxed out, quit allowing our leaders to keep control over us because, whites hate blacks and Mexicans are this and, this and that, constantly talking about race and trying to keep that. I use an example. Red ants and black ants, they're ants. They're two different types of ants, two different color of ants. You put them in a jar together, and they just move through the world, and they do their thing, and they do what ants do. And but you take that jar and you just shake it just a bit, just create a disruption, and all war breaks out. The black against red, red against black, and it's fascinating. And that's what the media and our governments across the world do to us, and we let it. But now we need to get this moving. So you're in this community, and I just looked down and said, sorry, Chris, made you a promise. You're in this community now. So this is one way. There's a lot of other platforms that have communities. For instance, I think what you're also referring to is we are building a community that's one level, let's call it one level above this. Same sort of, so a classroom and a community. I'm not going to talk about the classroom right now because the community supports that classroom. And the community is structured kind of like morning coffee and tea time. And the reason I say that is because we are talking about now in that community, that's all we talk about is like if it was this coffee and tea time, primarily that's all we talk about is AI here. But that's what you're there for. That instruction, that teaching, that learning. So in the classroom, content is constantly like class lessons or like your teacher hands out to you, or I guess nowadays they do it on our website, right? And you click in and this is your assignment for today. And in this case, this is a learning lesson starting at least a month ago. I think it's been several of them now that the original content was producer Barbie and I going through false or true about, what can you believe and what's the reality of the, and that's becoming less and less as people become less spiritual. But also we, in that same session 1, hi there, it's your opening. Let's start here. And we take it all the way through for the small business, primarily, but let's face it, everybody, because the reason we do that, because in your personal lives, you have a lot of ability to take advantage and grow and have a better lifestyle by using this. But in business, now you're also affecting the economy and your family and you. So there's really there's a need to be able to compete moving forward with small businesses, because that's the backbone of the great middle class, and which is the backbone of our economy, our technology, and everything else. The builders, that we have visionaries like you should, and you have builders like you should. A visionary needs to allow the builders that have their expertise and continue to be a visionary and a leader, direct that vision. And so that's a thing that works. And we've got to be able to be that. So the big boys, the big corporations, they have a lot more resources than we do. AI is evening that out, very much evening that out. And that's why we're gearing this, because it can be a shift of power and influence and abilities that aren't top down, that are top down and bottom up, and you're competing at a much different level at that point. Let's just go with that. So for Chris, the community here, let's do that. I was doing that. I was planning. Well, first of all, I just started doing this a little bit ago. And then I was like, is there enough to talk about? Let's say we'll just do a Friday morning coffee and tea time. Well, shit, the first one had like 400 people on it and asking to make this a regular thing. Some of the regular people that come to this show's live streams we text each other as well, input, and as well as the input here. But they're like, man, that's something you got to do more often. So I did it a couple of times a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, and it's getting to a point where if wherever there's an open slot, I want to, because time is time, and we have guests every day. So I blocked off a couple of days. I had to open it back up because we're all the way back out into July again, and it's only what is the date today? It's only June 12th. We're people are having to book a month out, and if it has to be, it has to be. But so I start opening up times and stuff, and sometimes people jump in, unfortunately, maybe over somebody else. But again, we're growing like rocket fire, and I'm operations, man. Oof. So there's your answer, my friend. Got a couple more here. We're coming up on 46 minutes. Allie, I swear to God, that's got to be, and she's watching a lot of our episodes. I think that's my California, my West Coast family. That's where basically most of my family hails. Started in the Seattle area and then skipped a bunch of states. Actually, my dad's from Oregon. He went to what's that big college out there that has the blue turf. They become now a big football power. And then he went on to be drafted by the Green Bay Packers. But at that time, they only made like $20. So I don't know. They made nothing. They couldn't, it wasn't today. Today walked on the shoulders of those guys back then. Not quite leather helmets, but, he passed away at 70 years old a couple of years ago. Well, 72 years old a couple of years ago. So he couldn't afford to take the whatever contract it was. So he went in the military, and there it was. Probably a really, really good decision, and a really, really good decision for me. Him making that decision for the family that came, because him being a Marine, a very active Marine, 3 tours in Nam and on and on and on. Wasn't unusual back then. There's a lot of stuff happening, and people back then said USA first, the people, and even the back then, the baby boomers, there was people going to war, and there was people writing against the war. Wasn't the same thing as we have today, though. It was people angry about not being American. Not this bullshit we have today, not being illegal or not being, the prominence, the young people of today are demanding things that have nothing to do with us. It's a world environment. We're the United States. The rest of the world depends on us. This is a lot cooler like this too. You notice I'm keeping the vest on today. Maybe I'm not in the heat zone. I'm kind of liking this. But anyway, today, the weird frickin', yeah, I'm going to say frickin', the weird frickin' demonstrations, riots going on today, they're being paid for by large organizations, by deep state kind of things, political parties, and on top of that, they're writing for things that 90% or more American citizens want. ICE is not our enemy. But yet LA and Chicago, surprise, are bringing this danger and uncomfort and destruction over things that have nothing to do with the citizens of that city. It has everything to do about the politics of that governing body of that city, which, by the way, in both places are losing dramatically. Obviously, there's still that, but losing dramatically the support, and you see it, right? I mean, it's the numbers are all over the place today, and while you see that, they're still doing it. They voted. So I mentioned this a couple days ago. In the Texas House, they were voting on a bill, and every Democrat was trying to push this bill through, which would make it legal that if a squatter found a place into your home and they were there, I don't know, what is it, 20, 30 days, they are not allowed to be taken out or made to go away. The owners don't have that right any longer. And at best, you get this long, drawn out court case. My God, the lawyers and the lawyer system and the legal system, they find that's a tax. I mean, that's a bullshit thing. And for me, I had that accident. I wasn't home for 3 months. Fortunately, I had other family that was there, and it was so far away. It's not like we're all staying out there. But at the end of the day, we were there because producer Barbie was driving 3 hours each way to get out there. So imagine it didn't happen, but imagine if the antennas went up and they found that home. And beautiful home, by the way, right on the lake, a little reserve, a lot of animals, and I like that. That's nature, right? So anyway, we wouldn't have been able to go back in the home, even though every bone on this side of my body here is broken and battered, and I'm now starting physical therapy because I have to learn how to get out of bed again. In fact, I never moved back into that house because I couldn't go upstairs. So I rented here, right around the corner, and well, not here, but here, right around the corner from the old house, and which now is somebody else's. Barbie ended up going to California, first grandbaby born. I know that feeling. So the Democrats put a bill forward, and every single one voted to have that happen. And I don't get that. How does that benefit anybody in America? How? I mean, in the old estate, I mean, that reminds me back in the 1800s, right? When they were coming across the West, and the United States government was giving people an opportunity to stakehold lots of land as we evolved out of the East Coast. And I get that. That's a growth in a production and a protection of a country and its people that want to keep moving ahead and creating incentives to do that. Here, somebody has a home, a family. Now, I don't know how the squatter thing whole works. I'm guessing I have no idea what it is. I don't know. Well, I know what it is, but why people do that. Maybe it's instead of being homeless, but there's a lot of them. It just seems, I don't know. Maybe someday we'll talk about that so I can learn. Allie, where do you recommend we start with AI if we have zero coding skills? Oh my God. Yeah. Oh man. I started that question a while ago, didn't I, Allie? Because I was talking about you being my part of my West Coast family on another side of the family. So I said this early on, and I gave the example of me being there at my youngest granddaughter's birth in Texas, where my son started me off on Chat GPT, and that hooked me. I mean, dude, Chat GPT, OpenAI. And to answer your question more specifically, Allie, I don't have any coding skills. And just to go back, some terminology, and actually we've done several shows just on this part. Automation, all this stuff coming forward is becoming simpler and simpler, but you got to keep learning more and more. And that comes together and converges pretty quick. Here's why I say that. You said, hold on. Hey, Luis, I'll call you back. I'm actually doing a live show right now. Say hi to everybody. You were just on the mic there. I will call you back after a bit, my friend. Bye for now. I couldn't resist that. I have zero coding skills, and you don't need them. What happens now in today's world of automation, of AI, artificial intelligence, is there's terms called, like you said, coding, C++, and there's been several others, obviously. Coding, that's how any of this could have ever started, and is only getting better as those who do that are skilled at another level, starting with a code in their hand when they were born. I use that example with phones, but it's even getting more exciting, more interesting. So to your point, you don't need coding skills, because there's coding, and then there's low coding, which means you start to write a code and it knows what you're doing. It knows the code you're wanting to create, and then it starts writing the code, and then you check it out and all that. Then there's no code. Now I say no code, and we talked about this with the guy that has the $7 million company he started a year out of college. That discussion was about a lot of different AI, and we went through this discussion specifically, Allie. We talked about no coding, and so it's not that there's no coding. You actually get this little window. If you choose to, you can click on it and you can see the code that created the discussion, the answers, the words, the images, and you can see what code looks like. It's actually kind of cool. I do that periodically. I don't think I'm ever going to write any code, and I don't think I'm ever going to need to, because no coding, you're talking or you're typing, either way you want to do it, just like on a text message, right? I mean, that's what you're doing. So it's at that level. You're just text messaging. Some people use the mic. Hey, Joe, Billy Bob, Amy Sue, how you doing today? Let's meet up at 7 round the corner at the the cafe. And then it types that out in a text and sends it. Well, actually, it does it while you're saying it, and then you say send, or you type it out and then you say send. Gives you a chance to look at it, make sure that you didn't slur your words or something while you're at the cafe. The no coding, though, is that simple, and it's going to only it can only get better somehow. I mean, remember what is it? Not Disney, but the TriStar or the takeoff of where all these great original animated movies and shows came out of. Pixar um, was one. No, I think Pixar is what I'm thinking of. That's Disney owned, right? But anyway, that timing in that area, we started talking about holograms. If I'm saying that right, where a hologram, an image comes up, and the whole Star Trek thing when they used to, and then you had a hologram image in front of you for whatever information you were looking for. A lot of them were, uh, remember that guy that in the Star Wars that he would give advice, and Han Solo? No, Hans was the younger guy, right? Anyway, one of those guys. How long we've been looking at that for 20 years ish or more. Then there's this kind of gap that happened. I don't know what it was. It feels like that anyway. And now that's old school. I mean, imagine, right? You're going to walk home one day or into your office, and you're going to have somebody go, "Hello, Rod. How are you today? Here's your information for the day," and you click on that, and you open it up, and woof, like woof, woof, and that's where it goes. It, man, you don't need coding. What you do need, Allie, is this coffee. Whenever you see a coffee and tea time, all the other ones, and a lot of them are about AI nowadays, but all the other ones are, different subjects, like we were talking about. But this is one place to start. And we talked about a little earlier, the sessions that we're laying out in our classroom, our school, SKOOL. I'll start giving you the information. We have it. It's all set up. But it's not. I use this example. We haven't waxed the floors yet. We haven't done the final paint on the walls. It's just primer right now. We haven't cleaned it, sprinkled around the air freshener yet, or any of that in our classroom. So what we're going to release that, and I'm just doing so many other things. We wanted to do that this week, right? 2 weeks ago, I said, next week I'm going to give you a heads up if we're going to be able to release it this week. Well, today's Thursday, and tomorrow's Friday, and I try to unplug during the weekend. Doesn't always happen, but I love that, just to recover. And people talk about energy, and I feel very comfortable today. I hope that's coming across. So no coding. Come to our class. Ask questions more about it. We will be releasing information soon. Soon as at least the walls are painted the right color and have dried. That's when that's probably towards the end of the first stage of the original sessions. So, because this is from 0 to, you're on your own, man. There's a point where I got to, and people better than me are way more than this, but I'm actually at a point where I have 3, and periodically I throw up Gemini, but I have 3 AIs that I'm asking questions to. And then when I get to a point, I literally copy and paste saying, this is from my chat GPT saying what to do, into my Make automation. So Make is where all the automation is made. It's called make.com. I got to step back. One of the first questions was, what's one of my favorite automations? I've said Airtable, I've said Chat GPT, and all these other things. But the coolest one is make.com, because you can create automations. They're called scenarios, right? And you have You have your scenarios, and you either have them active or not. You tell them what time of the day or how many times or how often per day to run. And every time they run, it's like you can't even say fractions of a penny. It depends on the digital numbers being output, but it's fractions of a penny. I mean, I've spent as much as I think I don't know, 3-4 cents on one message. Now, if you do it every 15 minutes, after a month, you're going to be it's going to be more than a fraction of a penny, whatever that would be. I'm not there. I mean, there are people who do that. I mean, you see those kind of things go up. Oh, that was still got to work on everything. I'm just getting way too relaxed. I'm not even near the table. Look at this. So maybe I ought to put a couch in here, like a sofa or a love sofa. Remember those kind of they're oversized and you can squeeze you and your loved one in a snuggle together there. Love chairs, right? No, that doesn't sound right. Anyway, I could really do that. And this one I may not want to go with because I have a tendency to rock, right? Seeing that. So back on point, no coding necessary. Come to our class. Keep coming and subscribe to this channel, this organization, this family, this community. Subscribe here. You can set notices when the next show's coming up. Very easy to do. That's step 1. Step 2, join the class. Then show up at our community, our discussions, our talks, our fireside chats. That'll get you I've got to say that'll get you all the way through, because as you're going this way, AI is coming to you. All AI wants to do is spend all day in and out each day thinking of how to make your life better, meaning specifically your life. When I talk, and they call it teaching or coaching, an AI assistant or in a ChatGPT does it a little bit different in that. Well, most of them do it a little bit different. Relevance AI, I love because it's your own assistant for that. With ChatGPT, it's a little bit broader in that you have to really make sure your questions are flowing in the right direction for that AI, because you've got to manage. You've got more. Here, this is a better one. Relevance AI, you have less teaching, less coaching to do for those assistants because they have all the backload, what they call system instructions. And then once the system instructions are set, which is the AI saying, okay, this is my mission. You literally tell it what to do. I've done this before. I'm not going to do it every time I come on, but I'll bring up one of the messages because I literally told one of the in ChatGPT it's a project. It's called a project. So you have individual projects for whatever you're looking to do. Or no, I started one on what do certain words mean. In other words, I started a project, and it tells, it names it, and it's down the left side of your thing. You just click back into one or the other. But you have to start that system instruction. You don't have to, but trust me, you want to. You have to, because otherwise you could just be running around in circles because you're giving that technology information that doesn't have a rudder. And it really is more challenging to coach that about you, because remember, all these AIs, their whole world is how do AI make Rod Duff's life easier in every single aspect. I always talk about quality of life. So we can start wrapping up here a little bit. Great show, loving the energy. Damien, I'm glad you say that. It feels different today. I feel less rushed. You know, I always talk about how it's physically draining. I don't know. Maybe it's just the message. These fireside chats seem to be a little less formal. Not that our show is formal. You know that. That's why you guys come. It's fun. But I'm feeling a very relaxed, comfortable vibe. You guys picking up on that? I'm definitely picking up on it. Oh my God. An hour and 10 minutes. All right. Still a couple hundred people here. All right. Last question. Then I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. Damien, thank you so much. Love you, man. If you're, I don't know if you subscribed yet. We've got like 8,300 subscribers now. We're getting like 20 a day. So I don't know every single person yet. Hey, I could automate that. Compare these screen names to those screen names, you know, subscribe. I do have stats of how many of a percentage at each show. So it used to be basically no subscribers. I mean, it'd be like 10 to 1 subscribers that watch that show. Now it's more like, and it's good that it's both. So we have like a 40-60, 40% are subscribers. In other words, re-watching the show. Hey, that's called organic growth, right? That's when people come to you because they find out about you. And then when they see you, they really, really like you. So then they subscribe to you. That was a self-centered comment, but I want to see how far I could take it. All right, so love the energy. Damien, I love your energy too. And I love everybody's. Just please subscribe, support us, keep us growing. Ooh, that was a big, look at that. What's that? That's that, got to be that thing. Keep supporting us. Let's get to 100K subscribers. Like the hair shampoo commercial that I talked about in the last couple of shows, you know, and then 2 more, and then 2 more, and then 4 more, and then 8 more, and then 20,000 more. You know, and you Perel, that's not the right. I said it right yesterday, but that example is kind of where we're hoping that we're on the precipice of. Okay, so Jason Tilley. Hey, Jason, how you doing, man? Awesome live as always. Cheers to community learning. God, you know, we are, right? I mean, we are a community. We are a family, and we are supporting each other. And let's keep doing that. You know, I love this insights and straight talk. You know, and I love producer Barbie, and I love the people who come on and add to the quality of life. But, you know, with that said, though, I'm out.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here, and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.